Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Yeah, we got one mission here, and I just want to know the truth, man. Let's get back to what's going on here. Now, what's going on in Egypt right now is being compared to what happened in '52, called the Cairo Fire. What had happened, and it's the same thing, corrupt and controlled, and the WikiLeaks kind of deal, same kind of deal is going on. The was a series of riots that took place 26 January in '52. Marked by the burning and looting of buildings in downtown Cairo. The direct trigger of the riots was the killing by British occupation troops of 50 Egyptian auxiliary policemen in the city of Isma'il a day earlier. The spontaneous anti-British protests that followed the massacre were quickly seized upon by organized elements in the crowd who burned and ransacked large sectors of Cairo amidst the unexplained absence of security forces. Now, this is another thing that they were worried about. The disorder that befell Cairo during the 1952 fire has recently been compared to the chaos that followed the anti-government protest of 28 January 2011. Just happened a few weeks ago, which saw genuine demonstrations take place amidst massive arson and looting and an inexplicable withdrawal of the police and organized prison breaking. What was trying to be done, they were trying to recreate the atmosphere to be able to have, a smackdown or control or something. That's why when you went into the square in Cairo, you had the protesters themselves, the anti-Mubarak guys, were stopping everybody at all the entrances, the streets that were going into there. They had people standing there, men, women, children, none shall pass until you get the pat down. They were making sure nobody was bringing in any weapons because they knew that there was going to be, people hurt and killed and firebombing and doing and whatever. They needed to cause some kind of a violence in order to recreate what they did in '52, which brought in, under the chaos, you got the bad guys bringing in their own government again. They know what was going to happen. The British, U.S., whoever, going to do the same thing again. So they said, no. This is revolution. We're just dissent. We're just, last night, my friend Barry Hess, a libertarian candidate for governor and so on, his wife came over. They live near us up there now, and they came over and we were watching movie Secretariat or whatever. And as we're, talking dinner and such, Barry had a really good thing. I'm glad I remembered it. He said, sometimes you just got to stand up by sitting down and saying no. That's it. You got to stand up by sitting down and saying no. Well, that's what's been going on. Well, they wanted to be able to say no without, getting burned, being, a martyr. So they set up kind of blocks where people walking in, they made sure nobody was armed. Now, if that happened in the U.S., a lot of Americans are armed. Should they bring their arms? Should they bring them unloaded? Should they leave them at home? Should they, I don't see force or violence as being a solution. So even though I'm big about being armed, I'm more likely to use my firearms to protect my food from, the road warrior hordes, than I am a government agent. Hey man, am I willing to take the first bullet? I don't know, but I'm not. I just can't imagine going down the road of, doing harm and damage. I don't see you're going down the right path that way. In fact, I just had Dean, a friend of mine, he's down here at the workshop. He's on the internet watching on Freedom's Phoenix. And Vallejo put up a connection to watch live the speeches at CPAC. You have Ron Paul just gave his speech, and of course you got after Rumsfeld and Cheney got booed, you'd have the pro-Cheney guys, I guess, and they're trying to boo down Ron Paul. They're just overwhelmed by, the pro-Ron Paul guys. And even when Ron Paul says something good, violence is never the answer. boo, from the bad guys, and you kind of catch themselves, But it's comical. So I'm sure we'll have that whole speech up on Freedom's Phoenix as soon as it's available. You guys, CPAC. Seriously, Defender of the Constitution, Rumsfeld. It's like Egypt getting the head of their intelligence being in charge. It's like Russia putting Putin, KGB in charge. I mean, seriously, you got to laugh at this stuff if it wasn't so tragic. So now we have them making sure that there's no violence going in. So what did the pro-Mubarak guys do? They got on camels and horses. They were, the supporters of the Mubarak, and the only way they could get into the square and start causing trouble was crash the roadblock. They saw these people didn't have any firearms, any way to stop them, if they came in on horseback. Well, some of the people pulled them off the horseback, beat crap out of them and so on. But they went in, and then later that evening, what happened? The pro-Mubarak guys had infiltrated in the buildings around them, and they were throwing Molotov cocktails, firebombs into the crowd, one after another. Boom, 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 boom. People on fire. Why? Because they wanted to recreate what happened back in 1952. Just Google Cairo Fire 52, and you'll start to get, a lot of the same stuff. Here's some of the background. In 1952, the British military occupation of Egypt was entering its 70th year, but was limited to the Suez Canal zone. On the morning of 25th January 52, Brigadier Exum, the British commander, issued a warning to Egyptian policemen in Isma'il, demanding that they surrender their weapons and leave the canal zone entirely. By doing so, the British aimed to get rid of the only manifestation of Egyptian governmental authority in the canal zone. They also wanted to end the aid the police force was providing to the anti-British Fedayeen groups. The Isma'il governorate refused the British request, a refusal that was reiterated by Interior Minister Faoud Sergadin. As a result, 7,000 British soldiers equipped with machine guns, tanks, and armor surrounded the governorate building and its barracks, where 700 Egyptian officers and soldiers sought refuge. Armed only with rifles, the Egyptians refused to surrender their weapons. The British commander thus ordered his troops to bombard the buildings. Vastly outnumbered, the Egyptians continued to fight until running out of ammunition. The confrontation, which lasted 2 hours, left 50 Egyptians dead and 80 other injured. The rest were taken captive. The following day, news of the attack in Isma'il reached Cairo, provoking the ire of Egyptians. The unrest began at Al-Mazza Airport when workers there refused to provide services to 4 British airplanes, and then it went from there. Once it started, then it's, you have the king this, that, and his son, and they're going back and ouch quit it and doing the same Mubarak thing, trying to hold it off, whatever, and all of a sudden, wind up people get dead. So then what happens? Then we start getting into the modern era. Well, there's a succession of people. There's Naqib, which was... let's go ahead and get to Muhammad Naqib. He was the first president of what we call modern Egypt now. Well, then followed by him, it's Nasser, then Sadat, then Mubarak. Every single one of them, European-trained, educated military, backed by Western powers. Do you think the people there in Egypt don't know this? They know. What's next? Well, CNN and Fox are going to tell you it's going to come out of the Obama White House. We'll talk about it when we come back.